The occupation. They came without warning on a Tuesday morning. The skies above Earth's major cities darkened as Meridian warships slid into low orbit, their sleek obsidian hulls reflecting sunlight in cold metallic glints. Humanity's primitive defenses, missile systems, fighter jets, orbital platforms, lasted exactly 17 minutes before falling silent. By nightfall, the Meridian Collective controlled Earth. Ilara Chen watched from the ruins of Beijing's tech district as the aliens established their first extraction facility. Once she had been a quantum propulsion engineer with 3 doctorates and a corner office. Now she was just another human, marked for processing and resource allocation. "You should leave," whispered Ming, her former lab assistant. "They're sorting engineers for the labor camps in Antarctica." Ilara remained motionless, eyes fixed on the towering alien structure that had consumed her laboratory. "My husband and daughter were inside when they hit it." Ming said nothing. Words were useless currency in a conquered world. The Meridians weren't cruel in the way humans understood cruelty. They were efficient. Earth was categorized as a Class C developmental world, rich in resources but populated by a semi-sentient species not yet worthy of diplomatic consideration. To them, the occupation was simply resource allocation. They didn't torture. They reorganized. They didn't execute. They optimized. Within 6 months, humanity's population had been reduced by 30% through efficiency measures, selective termination of the elderly, the infirm, and those deemed productivity negative. The remainder were assigned to resource extraction, agriculture, or construction divisions. Commander Vex, regional overseer for Terra Sector 7, addressed his subordinates with characteristic detachment. "The indigenous resistance has decreased by 17% this quarter. Our reclamation timeline has improved accordingly." His lieutenant, a slender Meridian with silver-flecked skin, gestured toward holographic projections. "There are still anomalies in resource allocation, Commander. Materials are disappearing, specifically metals and power cells." "Inconsequential," Vex dismissed. "Primitive species hoard resources during reorganization phases. It's instinctual, not strategic." The lieutenant hesitated. "There are also reports of our technology being scavenged from damaged vessels." "Let them play with our scraps," Vex said, mandibles clicking in what passed for Meridian amusement. "They can no more understand Meridian technology than insects can comprehend mathematics." Underground, beneath the crumbling foundations of what had once been CERN's research facility, Ilara Chen disagreed. "The power coupling interfaces here," she said, pointing to a holographic schematic floating above a makeshift workbench. Around her, 30 former engineers, physicists, and mechanics huddled in the dim light of stolen Meridian power cells. "Their tech isn't magic," she continued. "It's just advanced. And we're learning fast." Dr. Namdi, once Nigeria's leading astrophysicist, frowned at the schematics. "Even if we adapt their drive systems, we don't have the manufacturing capacity for anything substantial." Ilara's smile was thin. "We don't need to build from scratch. The Meridians have already done most of the work for us." She gestured to another screen showing a massive Meridian vessel half-submerged in Lake Baikal, damaged during the initial invasion, and abandoned as non-essential for salvage. "Project Thunderstrike begins there," she said. "They left us a skeleton. We'll give it teeth." For 2 years, Earth remained silent. The occasional resistance attack, a sabotaged extraction facility, a destroyed transport, was dismissed by the Meridians as uncoordinated desperation. Commander Vex received commendations for his efficient management of the Terra sector, especially its remarkably quick transition to full extraction status. "The indigenous species adapts well to direction," he reported to the Collective Council. "While intellectually limited, they function adequately as labor units. I project full resource extraction within 7 standard cycles, well ahead of schedule." Beneath the surface of human compliance, however, something was stirring. Ilara wiped blood from her forehead as she tightened the final coupling on the reactor core. 3 years of work had transformed the abandoned Meridian vessel from wreckage into something new, something terrible. Not pretty, not elegant like Meridian designs, but functional, brutal, human. "Final systems check," she called out. Throughout the massive vessel, now concealed in an abandoned mining complex beneath the Ural Mountains, voices responded. Weapons grid online. Propulsion at 87% capacity. Shields holding at full simulation load. Dr. Namdi approached her, his once immaculate lab coat now a patchwork of repairs and stains. "We lost 17 people building this monster," he said quietly. "Was it worth it?" Ilara remembered her husband's laugh, her daughter's drawings still pinned to their refrigerator, when the Meridian strike vaporized their home. "Ask me again tomorrow." The vessel had no official name, though the crew had taken to calling it Retribution. It was ugly, a hodgepodge of stolen Meridian technology grafted onto the original hull, reinforced with whatever materials Earth's hidden factories could produce. Its weapon systems were cobbled together from Meridian defense platforms, modified with human innovations that sacrificed efficiency for raw destructive power. It wasn't designed to win a prolonged engagement. It was designed to deliver a message. Commander Vex was reviewing extraction quotas when the first alarm sounded. "Unknown vessel approaching command orbit," his lieutenant reported, mandibles twitching in confusion. "Configuration is irregular." "Meridian?" Vex demanded. "Partially, but readings indicate substantial modifications. It appears to be the wreckage from Lake Baikal." Vex's compound eyes widened slightly. The closest a Meridian came to showing shock. "Impossible. The indigenous species can it." The transmission cut, as the first kinetic round from Retribution shattered the orbital command station's outer ring. Across Earth, humans paused in their labors, looking skyward as flashes of light loomed in the night sky. In hidden bunkers and resistance cells, radio operators transmitted a single message. "Thunderstrike is live." Repeat, "Thunderstrike is live." For the first time in 3 years, Earth was no longer silent. It was screaming. Aboard Retribution, Ilara gripped the command rail as the ship shuddered under return fire from the surviving Meridian vessels. Shields at 60%, called Specialist Rodriguez from the jury-rigged tactical station. "Their cruisers are moving to surround us." "Execute attack pattern Bravo," Ilara ordered. "Target their communication array first." Retribution wasn't elegant, but it was powerful. The modified Meridian weapons had been reconfigured to prioritize destructive potential over precision. When they fired, they didn't so much damage the enemy vessels as tear through them, leaving gaping wounds in their immaculate hulls. "The Meridians are transmitting," reported Communications Officer Park. "They're demanding our surrender." Ilara's laugh was cold. "Send them our answer." Outside, Retribution's makeshift missile tubes opened, launching a barrage of repurposed mining explosives wrapped around cores of refined uranium, primitive but devastatingly effective against ships not designed to withstand such crude attacks. Commander Vex watched in disbelief as his command fleet disintegrated around him. The indigenous species, the humans, had not only repaired a Meridian vessel, but modified it into something the collective's defense systems didn't recognize. They weren't fighting according to any tactical doctrine he understood. "Evacuate to emergency craft," he ordered, abandoning dignity as his flagship systems began to fail. "Transmit emergency protocols to all Terra Sector forces." But the humans had already jammed their communications. Terra Sector was isolated, cut off from the collective. As Vex's escape pod launched toward Earth, he realized with growing horror what the humans intended. They weren't trying to defeat the occupation force. They were announcing their presence to the galaxy. Retribution hung in Earth orbit, scared and smoking from battle damage but victorious. The Meridian Orbital Command was destroyed, their fleet scattered or disabled. "Broadcast on all Meridian frequencies," Ilara ordered. "Send the message." Throughout collective space, on every Meridian vessel and outpost, communication systems suddenly activated, overriding normal protocols. From thousands of speakers came a human voice, Ilara's voice, calm and measured. "This is Earth. We have reclaimed our skies. This is only the beginning." Part 1 of Earth's vengeance was complete, and across the galaxy, the stars held their breath. The reckoning. The first 24 hours after Retribution's attack passed in eerie silence. Earth's human population, for 3 years beaten into submission, now stood in fields and factories, gazes fixed upward, waiting. Commander Vex, his escape pod crashed in what had once been the Swiss Alps, huddled in the wreckage as his environmental suit struggled to compensate for Earth's atmosphere. For the first time in his distinguished career, he felt something alien to Meridian psychology. Fear. "Central Command, this is Overseer Vex," he transmitted again. "Terra sector compromised. Indigenous species has weaponized our technology. Request immediate intervention." Only Static answered. The humans had been thorough in their disruption of Meridian communications. He was alone on an increasingly hostile planet. Meanwhile, deep beneath the North Atlantic, in a repurposed submarine base, Ilara Chen addressed Earth's Unified Resistance Command. Retribution was just the beginning, she said, her voice carrying to similar bunkers worldwide through encrypted channels. "We've proven they're vulnerable. Now we execute Phase 2. On the main display, satellite imagery showed Meridian extraction facilities across the planet, each marked with a pulsing red target. Beside them, blue indicators represented something new. Additional vessels, smaller than Retribution, but no less lethal, rising from hidden construction facilities worldwide. "Thunder Squad, report status," Ilara called. 5 commanders responded in sequence. Vengeance, ready. Defiance, ready. Reckoning, ready. Justice, ready. Fury, ready. Dr. Namdi, now Chief Tactical Officer, outlined the strategy. The Meridians still believe they're facing an isolated insurgency. They don't yet realize this is a coordinated global effort. Each vessel will target extraction facilities in their region, prioritizing command centers and communication hubs. Ilara nodded. The Meridian Collective operates on absolute information control. Without communications, their forces can't coordinate. Individual commanders will be isolated, forced to make decisions without central authority. And their psychology makes them vulnerable to that, added Colonel Zhao, former Chinese military strategist. Meridians don't improvise well. They follow protocols. Across Earth, hidden resistance cells mobilized. What had once been disjointed acts of sabotage transformed into coordinated strikes against Meridian ground forces. Former soldiers, police officers, and even civilians armed with stolen Meridian weapons emerged from hiding, targeting the now confused occupation troops. In orbit, the Thunder Squad vessels launched their attacks with brutal efficiency. Unlike conventional space warfare, where vessels engaged at vast distances, these hybrid human Meridian ships fought at point-blank range, using modified mining equipment as ramming devices and crude but effective projectile weapons that overwhelmed sophisticated Meridian defenses. Commander Vex, limping toward a Meridian outpost in what had once been Geneva, watched in horror as one of Earth's modified vessels descended through the atmosphere, its massive hull trailing fire, directly toward the facility. "Evacuate," he screamed into his communicator, all pretense of Meridian composure abandoned. "They're using suicide tactics." The vessel, Fury, according to the crude human symbols painted on its hull, didn't crash. Instead, it hovered above the facility, deployment bays opening to release swarms of smaller craft, human fighter jets retrofitted with Meridian propulsion systems. The ground assault that followed was methodical, precise, and merciless. By the third day, 60% of Meridian extraction facilities lay in ruins. Collective forces, cut off from Central Command, either surrendered or retreated to defensive positions. The once orderly occupation had devolved into isolated pockets of resistance. In the remains of the Geneva outpost, Commander Vex gathered the surviving Meridian officers. "We must re-establish communications with the collective," he insisted. "The Council must know what we face here." Senior Tactician Mevex, mandibles clicking nervously, displayed a holographic map of Earth. "The humans have systematically destroyed our relay stations. However, there is one option remaining." The map zoomed to show a massive structure in Earth orbit, Titan Station, the Meridian's primary resource processing facility and the strongest remaining collective presence in the Terra sector. "If we can reach Titan Station," Mevex continued, "its long-range transmitters could reach collective space." Vex studied the station. "The humans will have it targeted already. Why haven't they attacked?" "Unknown, Commander. Perhaps their resources are stretched too thin." Vex's compound eyes narrowed. "Or they're waiting for something." Aboard Retribution, now docked at a hastily constructed orbital platform, Ilara reviewed tactical projections with Dr. Namdi and Colonel Zhao. "Remaining Meridian forces are converging on Titan Station," Zhao reported. "Exactly as we predicted." Ilara nodded. "They need its communication array to contact the collective. Have all Thunder Squad vessels maintain distance, but keep the station surrounded." Namdi frowned. "We could destroy it now. End this completely." "No," Ilara said firmly. "We don't want to end the Meridians. We want to send them a message they'll never forget." For 5 days, a tense standoff ensued. The remaining Meridian forces fortified Titan Station, while Earth's makeshift fleet maintained a loose perimeter. On the planet below, humans reclaimed their cities and facilities one by one. Commander Vex, now aboard Titan Station, marshaled his remaining resources. "The long-range transmitter is operational," his communications officer reported. "We can reach Central Collective within the hour." "Begin transmission immediately," Vex ordered. "Inform the Council that we require immediate reinforcement. Terra sector is." Alarms blared throughout the station. On the command displays, dozens of new contacts appeared, approaching from Earth. "What are those?" Vex demanded. His tactical officer studied the readings. "They appear to be primitive Earth spacecraft, pre-invasion technology." Vex stared in disbelief as hundreds of vessels, everything from mothballed military spacecraft to civilian shuttles to literal rockets, rose from Earth's surface. None were a match for even damaged Meridian technology. None could threaten Titan Station. But they kept coming. Thousands of them. "They're attempting to overwhelm our defenses through sheer numbers," Vex realized. "Target the largest concentrations and—" "Commander," interrupted his communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth, from all of Earth." On the main display, Ilara Chen's face appeared. Behind her stood representatives of every major Earth government and military force, once rivals, now unified. "This is Earth's unified command," she said calmly. "To all Meridian forces within the Sol system, your occupation has ended." Vex stepped forward. "This is Commander Vex, Regional Overseer. Your insurrection is futile. The collective will send reinforcements that will reduce your world to ash." Ilara's expression didn't change. "Look outside, Commander." On auxiliary screens, Vex watched as Earth's makeshift armada surrounded Titan Station. Not attacking, simply present, in overwhelming numbers. "You're correct that we can't destroy your station with these vessels," Ilara continued. "But we don't need to. We've already won." She gestured, and the display split to show footage from across Earth. Meridian facilities in ruins, occupation forces surrendered or destroyed. And something more. Hundreds of new construction sites where humans were building more vessels like Retribution. "We've learned from you, Commander. Efficiently." Vex's mandibles trembled. "What do you want?" "The same thing every species wants, to exist without threat. Here are our terms. The Meridian Collective will withdraw all forces from the Sol system. Earth will be recognized as sovereign territory, off limits to collective exploitation. In exchange, We will not expand beyond our system for 50 Earth years. And if the collective refuses? Ilara's smile was cold. Then we'll visit your homeworlds. Not today, not tomorrow. But we will come, and we won't come to occupy or extract. We'll come to end. The transmission cut. In its place, a simple countdown appeared. 24 o'clock, 00, ticking downward. In the silence that followed, Vex's lieutenant approached. Commander, your orders. Vex stared at the countdown. The humans had given them one Earth day to decide. One day to determine whether the collective would face a new kind of enemy. One that didn't fight by rational rules. One that had demonstrated it could turn the collective's own technology against them. Begin evacuation procedures, he said finally. All Meridian personnel are to withdraw from Terra Sector. Commander, the Council hasn't. The Council isn't here, Vex snapped. I've seen what these humans are capable of. They don't think like us. They don't fight like us. And they don't fear like us. As Meridian vessels began departing Titan Station, making course for the system's edge, Vex recorded his final report to the Collective Council. The species designated human is hereby reclassified. They are not semi-sentient. They are not primitive. They are dangerous, not despite their technological limitations, but because of how they overcome them. They do not innovate gradually. They leap forward in crisis. They do not fight for resources or territory. They fight for concepts, revenge, freedom, pride. He paused, watching Earth recede on his view screen. My recommendation to the Council is unequivocal. Accept their terms. Quarantine the Sol system, and pray to whatever entities you acknowledge that they keep their word about staying there. 1 month later, Ilara Chen stood on the observation deck of Retribution, now permanently stationed in Earth orbit as the flagship of humanity's new defense force. Beside her, Dr. Namdi and Colonel Zhao watched as the last Meridian vessels disappeared beyond the system's edge. They'll be back, Zhao said quietly. Maybe not in our lifetime, but they'll return. Of course they will, Ilara agreed. But next time, we won't be silent for 3 years. We won't be caught unprepared. Below them, Earth was alive with activity. Nations once at odds now worked together, incorporating Meridian technology into a unified planetary defense system. The vessels of Thunder Squad had become the core of a growing fleet, each new ship improving on the last. What happens when our 50-year agreement ends? Nandi asked. Will we expand into the stars? Ilara watched as a new vessel, sleeker than Retribution, less desperate in its construction, rose from Earth's atmosphere on its maiden voyage. That's not for us to decide, she said, but whoever makes that choice will do it from a position of strength, not desperation. As night fell across Earth, its citizens looked upward not in fear, but in growing confidence. The stars were no longer unreachable, and the silence that had once been their prison had become their strength. In the vastness of space, the message had been delivered. Humanity would never be silent again.